Testing my mic, Wayne. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good, Josh.
Yeah, we can.
Probably a good idea. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, Roland. Just a couple minutes away from 3:30. Hi, Rustico. We've got 3:30. Are we ready to proceed?
Applications, this is all
Yes, Wayne, we're good to go.
PDFs. I don't
All right. Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the meeting of the Development Permit Panel for Wednesday, August 21st. On the Development Permit Panel today, we have myself, Wayne Craig, General Manager of Planning and Development, Roland Zwag, a General Manager of Engineering and Public Works, and Marie Fenwick, Director, Arts, Culture, and Heritage. Joining us today, we also have a number of staff from the Development Applications Department, Joshua Reese, Suzanne Smith, Cynthia Lucier, Laurel Eaton, and Alex Costin. The panel deals with items of form and character, things such as architecture, landscaping, lighting, vehicle parking. The panel does not deal with matters established through the rezoning processes. Those are established by City Council. Today on the agenda, we have three items of, or three applications being presented to us. The order of business will be a presentation from the applicant and their team. We will then have opportunity for staff comments, any questions from the panel members, and then an opportunity for any member of the public to ask questions or for us to read information, written information received. Following those proceedings, we will have panel deliberation. Any items endorsed by the panel today will be advanced to City Council for their consideration at the conclusion and fulfillment of any conditions associated with the application. Once an application proceeds to council, it is non-delegable, so this is your opportunity for any members of the public to provide their input into the development proposal. With that, I think I'll turn to the clerk to introduce the first item on tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Wayne. Before we go to the first item of the agenda, we need to adopt the minutes of the Development Permit Panel meeting held on June 12, 2024.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes? Thank you, Marie. And seconded by Roland. All those in favor of adopting the minutes? Marie? Thank you. Those minutes are adopted.
So the first item in the agenda is Development Permit 21-934620. The applicant is Xiao XD Architect Limited, and the property location is at 8031, 8051, 8071, number 2 road, and 5760, 5780, 5786 Blundell Road.
Zhao, over to you. You're muted.
Yeah. Should I open my PDF or you have PDF?
It's best if you share your screen, Zhao.
Okay. Yeah. Should I just open up the PDF or there is a command to share or share?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a 25-unit townhouse development. The subject townhouse development is in the planning area designated neighborhood residential in the official community plan. The arterial road policy in OCP bylaw 9000 for townhouse development outside the city center. It meets the townhouse development requirements under the arterial road policy. The proposed zone is medium density housing, RTM3 with FAR 0.7. The internal driveway is accessed from number 2 road via city designated right of way on south neighboring property as a shared access driveway. The proposal consists of 7 buildings. 2 6-unit buildings facing number 2 road, 1 4-plex building and 1 triplex facing Blondale Road, and 3 duplex buildings facing interior aisle. The building number 5, 6, and 7 are directly interfaced with the single-family housing, so that we designed them as 2-story buildings. Building 4 is near the existing 2-story townhouse development, so that the end unit is designed as 2 stories to meet the 7.5 meter setback for the 3rd story on the west. This is that site plan. This is the exterior elevation along number 2 road. The existing site context contains varieties of developments across number 2 road. On east is Browndale Center, a commercial development of shopping mall with restaurants, banks, and other commercial retailers. The property on west is an existing townhouse development along Blondale Road. Immediately on the south is also an existing 10-unit townhouse development. There are also single-family houses on part of the within 7.5 meter of side yard on west side of the development. A short walking distance on east, there are Blondale Neighborhood Park and a local elementary school, which are also within the short walking distance. The subject development of 7 buildings is proposed with traditional style, with a building height and massing that fits the site context. The massing and the height match the neighborhood buildings. Efforts have been made for the relationship between the subject development to the existing single-family housing on west, where sloped roof and 2-story building height are proposed to match the neighbor. The 3rd floor for the building number 4 is designed with 7.5 meter setback on west, facing the neighboring two-story townhouse property. As said, the front building that adjacent to the neighbor was single-family houses or buildings are designed with 2 stories in the building height within the 70.5 meter setback. This can make a good transition between our townhouse development and the single-family home neighbors. We made a sun shading diagram in order to make sure that our development will not be a big impact to the neighbors. The sun shading study will also make sure that all buildings within our site won't create too much shadows from each other. We also make sure that the sunshine is provided for the outdoor amenity area. Color and material for the building. On building aesthetics, the degree of complexity matches the neighborhood buildings in the respect of both material, color, and the form composition. Included degree of detailing are also well considered. We make sure that both harmony and contrast are coexist for all design compositions. The architectural character matches the existing neighborhood, emphasizing the residential building character in both building massing and details. Architectural details to express the individuality of each townhouse units, repetition of the units, as well as a variation to add more breakups. The repetition of townhouse units follows the function of the building. It also creates a rhythm of architecture expression along the street front. The subject development of 7 buildings is proposed with proper degree of complexity in both material and color and form composition, including design detailing that is considered for the architectural character to match the existing single-family house and also the existing townhouse developments of the neighborhood, emphasizing the residential building character with both building massing and details such as the individuality of townhouse units and expressions of the unit entrance. Again, the repetition of the unit facade creates a rhythm of architecture expression along the street front. The proper variations are also added with adequate amount of color and detail changes to create variations. The same principle also applies to the roof line for both the rhythm and the breakup of repetitions. Cultural stone veneer cladding is proposed for the ground floor wall, and the stucco, which is a traditional cladding type, is used on upper stories with associated color selection to achieve the intended building design composition. The architecture style, the architectural character is inspired by French style, with an integration of main roof and the third floor windows, creating a dormer-like expression in order to add architectural varieties to the neighborhood. The common area is a focal point of the site layout that is centrally located as an outdoor amenity area. This corner location in relation to the internal drive aisle provides more visibility and sun exposure to the amenity area. The location and the layout also enhance convenience and the accessibility. Covered mailbox and a visitor bicycle rack are proposed at the more convenient location for the visitors and the mail delivery. And a garbage recycling closet is closed near the driveway entrance as to be the best location for the use. Efforts in design and planning have been taken to preserve the mature trees on the west. On the west side of the development site, per arborist report, the beauty of preserved tree is shared with amenity area. Again, the location of outdoor amenity area is exposed for both visibility and convenient use. The adjacency of outdoor amenity area to the drive aisle maximizes its visual exposure to both pedestrian and traffic for functionality, aesthetics, and septet considerations. Outdoor amenity space is properly landscaped as well as a private outdoor space for all dwelling units, which are provided for the development for each unit. A landscape architect will talk about it in more detail after my presentation. Accessibility is well considered within for the convertible unit per city requirement. The development is located in a transit-friendly area. Wheelchair circulation are well considered for accessibility along the internal drive aisle. Convertible units are proposed and located at a secure portion of the internal driveway for easy maneuvering and more convenience. The requirements for aging in place and the accessibility are considered for all units. Sustainable material are used in our design, such as the stucco made from all natural integrants, which is used as a primary cladding material for buildings. Wood trim and for the windows and the door are used on exterior elevations. The introduction of permeable paper allows maximum stormwater infiltration potential. Sustainability strategy has been taken for proposed development, including the energy saving with the proposal by certified energy advisor, qualified energy modeler. Every building will achieve the applicable BC building code requirements and follow the city STIP code requirements. With updated requirements in the BC building code, we followed the specification provided by the project certified energy advisor. Efficient mechanic system and a reduction in air leakage will reduce the heating and cooling cost. Increased insulation below concrete slab in walls, roof, and exposed flooring will improve the thermal performance of each building. As said, the certified energy advisor qualified is engaged, and a proper HVAC system will be selected to increase livability, energy saving, and efficiency. The design is guided by the principle of SIPTED, that is crime prevention through environmental design. We consider the measures such as natural access control, natural surveillance, and territoriality, defensible space, and maintenance. Natural access control unit entry and the vehicle access are exposed, as well as low fence, low landscaping. The common public space are centralized with windows and balconies overlooking the drive aisle and walkway. Space between buildings are exposed to windows on building side elevation for overlook. For space between buildings, where the window prohibited by the building code for the limiting distance due to the fire safety, the space is designed with good visibility. That was less window, but we still make a good design with good visibility for public surveillance or without any hidden corners. A building facing the streets and the internal driveway provide surveillance, including through the windows and balconies, decks. Site lighting and a clear sight line provide unobstructed views of surrounding area. Landscape planting and a fence near the unit entrance are low in height to maximize the view. Now I will leave the presentation to the landscape architect.
Sure. Thanks, Xuedong. So can you go to next page of the landscape? Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Ewan from PMG Landscape Architects. I'm happy to be here to present the landscape for this project. So the overall goal of the landscape for this project is trying to create the lush and green environment through the site. Along the west edge, which is the top side of this site, the landscape and the retaining wall have been thoughtfully placed to preserve the existing trees and right-of-way. Along the road frontage, which is north and the east side, so each yard will have an open space, either a lawn or patio, to accommodate activities like barbecue or picnics for each unit. At least one canopy trees will be planted in each yard, which can also enhance the off-site pedestrian walking experience. There are 3 pedestrian connections from the street, which will be highlighted with decorated pavers and outdoor furnitures. A landscape feature at the northeast corner will include the river rocks and basal columns, adding a distinctive aesthetics to the site. In the internal of the site, permeable paver will be used in the internal lane and the parking spot to improve the site permeabilities and manage stormwater more efficiently. A comprehensive play structure which can accommodate multiple children playing at the same time is proposed inside of this outdoor amenity area. See, the site will including 31 new trees and over 1,000 of the shrub, grasses, and perennials. All the plants are drought tolerant, and the site will be equipped with automatic irrigation to ensure the plants are growing health for a long time. I believe that's all for the landscape presentation. The rest few pages are just some details for the landscape. I will return the floor to the Xuedong if he has anything to add, wants to add.
I have nothing to add. That's the rest of that's the last page of the landscape.
Thank you very much for your thorough presentation. I ask that you stop sharing screen. And do Roland or Marie, any questions? Josh, let's hear from you first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of staff comments for this project, there is a servicing agreement that's associated with the rezoning bylaw for this project, including site servicing and frontage improvements. This includes construction of new sidewalks and Treegrass Boulevard along number 2 Road and Blundell Road, as well as the existing driveway and a widening of the existing driveway shared with property to the south. There are 2 variances associated with this project, including a reduction in the minimum front yard and exterior side yard from 6 to 5.5 meters, as well as a technical variance to reduce the minimum lot width requirement to 50 to 40 meters. These variances are supported by staff based on their technical nature resulting from the site-specific geometry of the lot and required road dedications. All units, as the applicant had indicated, do contain aging in place features, and 4 of the units are proposed to be convertible, which would include wider stairwells, wall blocking to accommodate the stair lift in the future. The applicant has also confirmed that the proposed design will meet the applicable energy step code with low carbon energy solving air sources for both heating and cooling on site. That's the staff comment.
Thank you, Josh. Roland, Marie, any questions for the applicant or staff? Marie?
Was there any consideration to having secondary suites in any of the units, and or would there be an opportunity to add one if an owner wanted to?
We actually considered from the beginning, then we decided that we rather add more units because you see, we try to maximize all the number of units. So we did achieve that, but normally speaking, like people, the other architect, maybe they will provide less units. Then maybe in that case, we have opportunity to provide a secondary suites.
Thank you. And just another question: is there area for somebody to pull up for deliveries? Would that be in the visitor parking, or where would delivery vehicles be able to?
I think the internal drive-by is, normal for townhouse use. Is they have just a store there, have delivery. I believe it's functional. Or also visitor parking is also available.
Thank you.
Roland, any questions from yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Wayne, and thank you for the presentation. I'm just curious more about the septet design with respect to lighting levels, sources of lighting. I know it references site lighting. Maybe you can elaborate or explain what that entails with respect to light standards, or is there built into the buildings? Maybe some more additional information would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, the lighting is actually a big one of the items we consider. We have the lighting for the public. It's wall mounted on the townhouse. We also have a freestanding bullet. You can see even from the landscaping plans all the lighting. So we make sure all the public area, include the amenity area, are illuminated. And also the internal drive aisle and the frontage.
Thank you for that. Was there any, I can only assume it was designed on so that there's no light pollution onto neighboring properties, so directed LED, so it only lights the area that you want to light up?
That's right. We quite consider this light pollution. So we have this not facing to the sky, but it's just to make sure the lighting is controlled on the site.
Thank you. I have 2 questions related to the landscape design. First question, I'm wondering if you could elaborate on the landscape treatment around the mailbox and bicycle parking area, and specifically how that landscaping would address any potential headlight glare onto number 2 road. And then the second question is, if you could just confirm that in terms of the Blundell Road frontage, the front yards are kept at sidewalk grade with any grade changing happening closer to the buildings.
Sure. Yeah, I will answer the second question first. So the second question, the yard is at the same, is flushed with the offside sidewalk. So you can see from the unit, it's just it will have some steps down, and also the planter walls to hold the grading. But the yard would be at the same grade at the offside. Regarding the first question, the mailbox. Okay, so the mailbox and bicycle, yeah, that's located in the close to the entry area and marked by the decorated paver. So I may miss your question.
If you could discuss the planting material and how it would specifically address potential for headlight glare onto the road.
The headlight, you mean lighting? Oh, from the road. Oh, I see. Okay.
From inside
Yeah, so-
the townhouse onto number 2 road.
Yeah, so the planting, we choose some like the hedges and the shrubs, so we can which can prevent lighting from the road, which is some evergreen shrub.
And the height of those shrubs?
The shrubs would be 2 to 3 feet high.
Okay, thank you. Rustico, do we have any members of the public or written correspondence?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have no correspondence for this item.
All right. I guess that brings us to panel deliberation. Marie, Roland, any comments? Anyone wish to move the staff recommendations?
Yeah, no further comments. I think that the design fits well into the neighborhood, so I appreciate that about the design. So I would move to endorse the staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
All right. Before we call the question, I'll just echo Marie's comments that I do think I do appreciate the care and attention that's being paid to the design. Especially with respect to the inclusion of the convertible units and the maintaining of the grade along Blundell Road. With that, I'll call the question on the staff recommendation. All in favor? Thank you very much. Your project is being endorsed by the panel. It will proceed to council for consideration upon fulfillment of all conditions.
Thank you.
Rustico, back to you for introduction of item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The second item in the agenda is consideration of development permit number 24-011767, and the applicant is Canadian Tire Limited, and the property is located at 11388 Stevenson Highway.
Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Hammer, and I'm from NGBA. We are part of the project, serving as the architects, and I'm joined here by Kim Unger, who is the landscape architect. I would like to share my screen and start the presentation, if that's okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
This is the project, store number 610 at South Richmond. The intent is to update exterior finishes and provide new signage and some landscape improvements.
Right, Rebecca,
Yes?
I think we can see multiple windows in your share screen right now. I think you're...
Oh, apologies. I was sharing the wrong screen. Sorry about that.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's an existing Canadian Tire located at the corner of Coppersmith and Stevenson Highway, part of the Coppersmith Corner Shopping Center. And there's a couple of views there. And here's some existing building images. You can see the current color scheme and the red Canadian signage. So the intent is there's an existing covered walkway with stone-clad columns. On the east side, there's an enclosed area with some fencing, and then the main entry there. So the intent is to update the existing store to meet Canadian Tire's new facade new proto package, which is named Concept Connect. And these are images from other projects that have been completed, but I think they show the intent with the new white signage, new facade materials, some wood motifs. And this is the actual site plan. So there's some internal work happening, which has already been approved for a building permit and is underway. Some interior racking and shifting some rooms around. So there are no increases to square footage, no additional floor area. Merely improvements to the facade, and that's under the scope of this development permit. So we can see here, apologies. So the existing store, we're looking at adding some additional signage. Again, the teak timber new ACM panels, removing the existing stone and applying the a new EFA system, space black, and replacing the old signage with new signage. In this section here, introducing again, it's an ACM. Sorry, apologies. It's an EFIS portal with dropping the signage down. A new sign tucked under the existing canopy there. On this facade, painting and improving or updating the brand signage, and removing the existing tires, parts, and service sign. And then on the rear, it's a painting exercise. No changes to be made at the rear other than the painting. And then at this facade, again, painting and updating the signage. Here are some renderings of the proposed work showing the new wood ACM panels and the new EFIS black portions. Again, existing glazing is to remain. Just changing the facade finishes and signage. And that is the extent of the architectural work. I will flip it over to Kim if she would like to describe the scope of the landscape.
Can you hear me? Good?
Yes.
Yes.
So with the changes to the exterior of the building and some of the interior small changes, we have approached the site. We did a review of the condition of the trees, and none of them were recommended for removal or replacement by our arborist. Given that, we understand that there are a couple of I'll call it some unsightly landscaping right now. Some plant material has died from the time it's been planted, and they seem to be the same species that has died. So we selected a species that we know is currently doing well on site to replace those plants. And there are some challenges with the small car parking spots that are in proximity to some of the trees that are in the parking islands. And we've had some conversations with the city, and I think our final solution to that is to plant shrubs that will grow quite large and be a deterrent for people to be backing into them. I think it was evident that I don't think people weren't following the signage, and they were parking large vehicles and backing into the stalls. And I don't think the changing the signage or putting more verbiage around not parking large vehicles or backing in is going to help solve the solution. And so we are proposing to use some large shrubs. Because of the site is a little bit aged, we have recommended that all the beds be cleaned up and remulched, and that should really freshen up the beds in the parking area. And for pedestrian circulation, I think having those line paintings freshened up at the front of the building will help with pedestrian circulation as well. So it's not a large scope of work, but I think it'll make a big impact to the aesthetics in the parking lot.
Great, thank you, Kim.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Indeed, it does. I have some drawings from the previous DP submission for reference, but we can discuss those if necessary. And I want to apologize. The planner on the file is at the meeting, and I neglected to defer to him. Alyssa, again, do you want to introduce yourself? And is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I have nothing to add. Thank you.
You can stop sharing screen. Josh, any comments from staff?
Very few comments, but I will just echo the applicant's comments that the scope of work is relatively limited in terms of its improvements to the site facade and on-site landscaping improvements. There is no change to the existing floor area. There's also no servicing agreements or other requirements associated with proposed development.
Roland, Marie, any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I appreciate it. Just looking at that landscaping drawing, it is limited in scope as far as only doing improvements directly in front of the building. Is that intentional, or is it not a great idea to do the entire parking lot, or is that perhaps belonging to another property owner? Just looking for some clarification of why the scope is just limited to in front of the building. Thank you.
We understood that was of paramount importance with the changes to the facade, so we did focus on that. And when the arborists went through the site, it was evident that almost all trees were in at least fair condition. So if there would have been trees that looked less than acceptable, that would have been flagged, and we would have made an improvement in that area.
Okay, thank you for that.
I have a question just out of curiosity. Will the store be open while this work is happening, and will there be any impact on the surrounding businesses?
That is a good question. I know the interior work is currently underway, so I believe they're doing that in phasing and hoarding off sections. But I am unsure. I know the utmost effort will be put into not impacting the surrounding area, but unfortunately, I don't have those details.
Thank
you. Not so much a question, but Kim, in terms of the landscaping, it looks like all but maybe 3 or 4, maybe as much as 5 islands are not included in the refresh. I think prior to this application proceeding to council, should it be endorsed by the panel, I'd like to just have you work with staff to make sure that there's no other further improvements required to those remaining 5 or 6 landscape islands.
Absolutely.
Rustico, do we have any members of the public here for us today?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's no one in chambers to delegate on this item.
All right, that will bring us to panel deliberation. Roland, Marie?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So with that comment you made, do we add those comments to our recommendation, or can we move it as is?
It would be moved as is with direction to staff and the applicant to work together prior to this advancing to council.
Okay, I would like to make that move that motion.
All right.
Seconded.
Seconded. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Your project's being endorsed by the panel. If you could work with staff on those remaining landscape islands, and the project will proceed to council. I believe there aren't very many conditions associated. It's just the landscaping. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ristico, over to you for item number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item in the agenda is the consideration of development permit number 24-037979. And the applicant is Sadler Architecture, and the property is located at 6551 Number 3 Road.
You can go ahead, Eric, and share screen and give us your presentation.
Sure. My name is Eric Aslan. I'm the project manager for this project. With me is Lucas Gallardo, the studio director in our Vancouver office at Zeidler. I'll just share this. 1 second. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Okay. This project is located at the Richmond Center Mall. It consists primarily of the upgrade to the east and west entries of the Galleria at the mall. I want to make note that during the construction, these entries will remain functional throughout the construction process, and none of the pedestrian traffic through the Galleria will be affected by this work. I've indicated here the site plan of the mall and surrounding context. The mall here is in gray, and I've shown the actual project scope in red on each end of the Galleria, the east and west end. So this is the extent of our application for this DP. This is the existing condition at both ends of the Galleria entrances. We propose to replace much of the ephes, which is a little bit aged. We propose to replace the stone at the bottom and the doors as well to accommodate the revised 850 millimeter clear egress door width with the BC building code updates. The revised facades will be consisting of clear glass with a vertical frit pattern, moving between translucency and transparency, and metal panel that will frame all of this glass around the edges of the project. There are 3 roof levels here, which will be drained through a single rainwater leader coming down on the side here. More clearly, I guess, here in the plan on the right is the extent of the new vestibules we'll be adding. So the vestibule here is in red, and our revised cladding here is shown here in blue. And again, this is the extent of our scope. As I mentioned, the doors will also be replaced for wider egress. On the other side is the plan, the ceiling plan, showing the ceiling of the new vestibule, which includes a heating element and integrated LED lighting to illuminate the space. Outside, there will be a new canopy, which will protect the main doors, which will also include several spotlights for illumination and safety as well as septet concerns. I'm showing here a 3D section of the project, of a typical entry. We have a integrated rainwater management system, which will, as I mentioned, drain all 3 roof levels simultaneously. We are proposing a curtain wall system which will filter out the UV and infrared rays that will mitigate the heating inside. We have also a new canopy, which I mentioned, and the plenum space here between the vestibule ceiling and the vestibule roof will contain the heating elements and integrated lighting that I mentioned earlier. I'd like to mention also that the bollards here will remain to protect pedestrians and the entryway. This is a rendering of the intent of the project. I've included people here for scale, and so we have a transparent light, sort of light box scenario, and that's the intent of the design. It's meant to be seen from quite a distance, but we are quite aware of the light pollution potential. So we're working very closely with a lighting consultant to mitigate that as well. This is a evening image of what the intended effect would be regarding the light box idea. And this is a perspective from the front during the day, which will hopefully be a modernized, contemporary reimagining of the Richmond Center Galleria entries for people coming in and residents of the new, larger redevelopment plan at Richmond Center. That was the residential development plan. This is also meant to be seen from the nearby SkyTrain station as well. Also in this image, you can see the frit pattern I mentioned earlier, the vertical frit and the middle panel, which moves between translucency and transparency, and that is basically a summary of the project.
Thank you very much. Marie Rowland, any questions for the applicant?
Well, since you mentioned, thank you so much for your presentation. Going into this DPP, I was concerned about some of the light pollution concerns. Perhaps you can elaborate with respect to your mentioning it's under review. What are some mitigating things that the project team is looking at? Because that's definitely an area that I would be concerned about.
Yes, so we are limiting our fixtures to LED fixtures only, which will focus the lighting on areas where we need it, particularly, as I mentioned, for safety concerns and greater illumination for the visually impaired.
Yeah, if I'm looking at almost the last rendering, which was at nighttime, it looks like it's shining outwards, like basically onto the parking lot, onto the sky, onto the neighboring buildings. Perhaps the direction of the light is meant to go downwards towards the ground?
No, the lighting on the parking lot is from the current existing parking lot light standards that are already there.
Sorry, thank you for the opportunity to clarify. If I look at the rendering of the last photo, those are vertical light fixtures, if I'm articulating it correctly, that are shining outward onto the parking lot. Perhaps those are different kinds of light fixtures that are pointing down?
Oh, you mean the feature light fixture? Yes. Okay. So, sorry, I misunderstood. We are reviewing this fixture just because the client wanted something there in the archway, a chandelier of some kind. So those lighting levels will definitely be mitigated by our consultant. I don't expect them to be shining out onto the parking lot.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Chair. Is there then an opportunity to review the lighting design at a later date, or would we have to provide comments to council with respect to lighting design?
Maybe I'll just ask a clarifying question for Eric, and then Eric, with the extensive residential development that will be happening around the perimeter of the mall, the lighting level will be of greater concern to the residents that will be living close to the entry gallerias. Are the lighting fixtures going to be dimmable based on any, should any concerns be raised?
The possibility of making them dimmable is available, although I would suggest that we remain within the maximum lighting levels permitted. My intention here is not to disturb the residents, but rather encourage them and make the entries more of a pleasant feature to look at, not something that would aggravate them.
Okay, so if I may, I'm going to suggest that prior to this development permit proceeding to council, that you work with staff to confirm that through a lumen test that there would not be light spillover, or confirm that there will be the ability for the lighting to be dimmed should an issue arise. Roland, would that satisfy your concern?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Marie, any questions of yourself?
No, I guess to add a comment to that, it seems, I think if this is intended to be a public walkway to connect Minaru to Number 3 Road, the brightness makes it look very welcoming and accessible, but I can see that you'd need to find a balance there, particularly on the residential side.
Yes, agreed.
No other comments or questions, thanks.
Sorry, I do have one question. Not sure if this is... Josh may be able to answer this, or yourself, Eric. But the Galleria is currently only open during mall operating hours. The intention is that Galleria will be open during transit hours. I'm wondering if somebody could just clarify when the opening of their Galleria beyond mall operating hours will occur.
Yes, the Galleria doors are unlocked at 8 a.m. and locked again in the evening at 10. On Sundays, it's a bit shorter, that range, from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Mr. Chair, I'll just add that through the associated official community plan amendment that was previously considered by council, we did secure a statutory right-of-way with a pedestrian right passage over the Galleria entryway and interior space to provide for public future access through the site between Minaru Boulevard and Great House Canada Line Station. That access needs to be provided during all transit operating hours, and that's to be in place prior to occupancy of first building within station.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Rustico, any members of the public or correspondence on this application?
There's no one in chambers to speak on this item, Mr. Chair, and we have no correspondence for this item as well.
All right, with that, panel deliberation. Anyone able to move the staff recommendation?
Move the staff recommendation.
Second.
All that. Okay, with that, I'll call the question subject to the direction regarding the lighting levels or dimmability. All those in favor? Thank you very much. That brings us to any new business, Mr. Reese.
No new business, Mr. Chair.
All right, the next meeting of the panel is scheduled for September 12th of this year. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Thank you much.
Bye, thank you.
Everyone.